You may have heard that diets don't work. Well, they don't. But you may also be wondering, well, if I'm not pursuing weight loss, how can I best take care of my body? My name's Dawn Clifford, and I'm going to answer that question in today's presentation. Here's a brief outline of what I plan to cover. First, we'll go through the drawbacks of dieting. Second, I'm going to introduce you to an alternative approach called a non-diet approach. This is a more holistic view of health and well-being. And I'll finish up with 10 self-care tips to get started. First, the drawbacks of dieting. Whenever the term dieting is used, it really means pursuing weight loss. What I'm telling you is there are so many drawbacks of pursuing weight loss that it may not actually improve your health in the end. First, check out the dieting cycle. You start a diet, you usually cut out a food or a food group that brings you pleasure or joy, and then you start experiencing deprivation, which of course leads to cravings, and at some point you throw in the towel and end up over-consuming. And that leads to feelings of guilt and shame that often results in starting a new diet. That restriction that you experience usually leads to obsessing about the food and sometimes even binging on the food. Therefore, it's no surprise that weight regain is a normal consequence of the dieting approach. In fact, researchers have found that somewhere between 80 to 95% of folks who start a diet regain the weight later. While weight loss might happen at first, weight regain is the very likely outcome in the end. Researchers have also found that weight loss is not required to improve health. Anyone can pursue health patterns, health-supporting, health-enhancing patterns, and self-care strategies. And these have been shown to result in things like improved cholesterol, improved blood pressure. Therefore, weight loss is not necessary to see those biochemical changes and health enhancement. I'd like to introduce you to an alternative approach to dieting, non-dieting. We know that health and well-being is about so much more than just diet and exercise. In fact, if you look at this graphic, you'll see that so much of our health and well-being has to do with socioeconomic factors, our physical environment or the neighborhood that we live in, access to health care, mental health. We're complex human beings, and there's so much that goes into the full health and well-being picture. As you can see, diet and exercise is just one small piece of the health puzzle. A non-diet approach means that you're pursuing these health patterns if you choose to, but you're not doing it to lose weight. You're doing those health patterns to improve your health, but also recognizing that by pursuing these patterns, it's just a very small piece of the health puzzle, and that these other pieces of the health puzzle matter too. In a non-dieting approach, you eat and move to feel your best. So you still are welcome to pursue balanced diet, physical activity, but instead of doing it for weight loss, you're pursuing those patterns so that you can improve your energy levels, you can improve your GI health, in other words, preventing constipation, diarrhea, bloating, and you're eating in a way that also supports your emotional health. This means that you're pursuing health patterns for the sake of feeling better, feeling your best, and letting go of the number on the scale. Finally, I'd like to finish up with 10 self-care tips. So if you're not pursuing weight loss, how can you best take care of yourself? Tip 1, permission for pleasure. Food is meant to bring you joy and pleasure. And so it's also meant to provide fuel and vitamins and minerals. And so consider eating in a way that honors your body in terms of providing nourishing foods, but also honors your soul or your taste buds. This means letting go of black and white thinking. Instead of labeling food as good or bad, all foods can fit because foods likely either provide nourishment for your body or they provide joy for your taste buds. We all experience cravings, and a non-diet approach encourages you to get curious with your cravings. Notice what time of the day you tend to crave sweets or salty foods the most, and honor those cravings. At the same time, notice the food while it's in your mouth. Savor your food while you're eating it. And that means turning off distractions and really eating mindfully. When you slow down the eating process, you'll start to notice the texture and the flavor and the aromas, and you can check in while you're eating to see, am I still enjoying this food? Is this food making my body feel good? From a young age, we were given hunger and fullness cues to guide our eating timing and amounts. A non-diet approach is about tuning back into those original hunger and fullness cues that we've had since we were babies. Typically, we get hungry every 3 hours or so. So we have to plan for that. Plan to eat regularly throughout the day, and not, again, because you're pursuing weight loss. Eat regularly throughout the day because it makes your body feel good. Eat regularly throughout the day because it gives you energy. So that means planning some meals and snacks and noticing what time of the day you're the most hungry. You don't need to eat by the clock. Instead, just notice your typical hunger patterns and plan accordingly so that you can honor your hunger throughout the day. Tip 4 is notice your fullness. You can rely on your fullness cue to tell you when it's time to stop eating. You can notice how the food feels in your body. You'll certainly start to feel your stomach distend, and that can be a sign that you've had enough, that your body's had enough. When you eat past that comfortable fullness level, you'll probably notice that you feel very sluggish afterwards. So noticing your fullness is about eating in a way that makes you feel energized afterwards. And of course, hunger and fullness cues are going to vary every day. You may notice some days you're hungrier, and some days you need more food to reach a fullness level. And that's going to be based on your activity levels and perhaps your stress levels that day. Calorie counting isn't the solution, because if you were aiming for a certain calorie level every day, you would notice that, well, your calorie needs dramatically change every day based on your activity level and your stress level. That's why using hunger and fullness cues to guide your eating timing and amounts is such a better solution. Tip 5, plan for eating. If you're going to be hungry every 3 hours or so, you got to have food ready to go. And so usually that involves being fairly regular with the grocery store and coming to the grocery store with a plan of some nourishing and balanced and pleasurable meals. Meals don't have to be complicated. Meal planning can be easy. You don't even have to do a lot of cooking. Keep meals simple. A salad and a sandwich, a veggie omelet and toast, tacos with beans, corns, and salsa, a stir fry. Yes, try to think about different food groups that you can add to make your meals nourishing, but also consider foods that make your meals pleasurable, like cheese and ranch and salt and roasting vegetables. It's important that your food is both nourishing, but also brings you joy. Tip 6, hydration. You might notice that if you're having a low energy day that you're really not drinking enough water. So some folks find that it's helpful to have water with you at all times. And if you find water boring, you can always flavor your water with juice or tea or fruits. You can check your urine each day to indicate whether or not you're well hydrated, with obviously a pale yellow color, meaning that you're doing a good job of hydration. But again, don't drink water just to lose weight. Drink water because it makes your body feel good and it gives you the energy that you need to do the activities that you need to do throughout the day. Tip 7, reduce stress and explore emotions. Emotional health and well-being is such an important piece of the health puzzle. Often folks find that eating and emotions are linked, and certainly we turn to eating, some of us, to cope with our emotions, and that's okay. It seems to work, or else we wouldn't do it. So it's important, if you notice an eating and emotion connection, that you give yourself permission to use eating as a coping tool, while at the same time building up an arsenal of health-enhancing coping tools, like taking a nap, talking to a friend, Deep breathing exercise, going for a walk. Eating might be one coping tool that you have, but it's important to have an arsenal of coping tools to help you work through the stress and negative emotions you may be experiencing. Another piece of this non-diet puzzle, and a great way to take care of yourself, is to be fairly regular with physical activity. But physical activity has to be fun, right? Or else you're just not going to do it. And it also needs to be something that makes you feel good while you're doing it and also immediately after. Maybe when you were pursuing weight loss, you were exercising just to lose weight or just to manage your weight. When you drop that as a motivator, you'll find that physical activity has so many great benefits. It has been linked to reduced depression, enhanced mood, reduced anxiety. People even experience improved body image right after they're physically active, even though their body probably hasn't really changed at all. You may notice that physical activity improves your academic performance and even helps you sleep better. There are so many great reasons to be physically active, but that activity has to be fun for you or else you just won't make it a priority. So find activities that are fun. Tip 9, love your body. We were not all meant to be the same size. Embrace body diversity as one of the many beautiful pieces of the diversity puzzle. We have to stop comparing ourselves to images that we see in the media or social media or the bodies of our friends and family members, and just embrace the bodies that we have. A non-diet approach is about loving your body, pursuing self-care patterns as you are able, but accepting and rejoicing in the body that results. Now, that doesn't happen overnight, and it can be hard to tune out the body hate messages we receive all day long, but it's certainly a journey worth pursuing. The last tip is to start small. Baby steps lead to sustainable change. Even if it seems minor, like starting a new activity once a week is a great start, and you can always build from there. It's also a good idea to start out at a slower pace. You're more likely to make something that's enjoyable a priority. So make it fun, start small. You can always build from there. I hope this has been helpful to learn how to walk away from a diet approach and pursue self-care patterns that bring you pleasure, joy, and also nourish your body.